So today I'm going to talk about two fundamental topics that you need to be aware as a web developer, right? How many of you are web developers? Okay. Please raise your hand. How many of you are web developers? I know that more than 70 of the audience are web developers. How many of you are students? Okay. I see more hands, right? So which is around more than 60% of the audience are students, which makes the session more interesting because I'm going to talk about the new features on Angular as well as WebAssembly, which Eric mentioned about, which makes web development much more performance as well as better. All right. Yeah, I wanted to introduce myself shortly. I work at Microsoft as a product manager. You can ask this question, why a Microsoft guy is here? The technologies have become very open, right? We embrace each other and then we network with each other and learn more about the open technologies and build cool things. So that's what all about. And I am the first GD from Sri Lanka, and we have two more GDs. This is my 5th year as a Angular GD, and also I am the top contributor on Stack Overflow on Angular in the world. So you can ask any questions on Angular as well as cloud. Yeah, one of the other things is that if you want to get mentored, you can set a session on, ADT. And then one of the key points that I wanted to highlight here is this is a learning day, right? You have to be aware that is the message from Google CEO Sundar Pichai. You can see it's the incremental decision that makes you to progress. So it's not about learning, but you have to share things with others, whatever you are learning. So keep in mind, and then you can reach out to me at any time using those social links. Today I'm going to cover these topics. I know that most of you are from university and new to web development, so I will talk about what is Angular, basically a quick intro which I do in all my talks, and then I will talk about the state of Angular, where the Angular ecosystem is currently, and then I will talk about the new features which have been announced at Google I/O, which would be helpful to build quick applications using Angular. And then I will deviate from Angular to WebAssembly, which is one of the important announcements made on WebAssembly, which makes you to build applications which utilizes GPU, and then you can build games and machine learning apps and things like that. With that, I wanted to start with a quick demo, which showcases the concepts which I'm talking today. The first one is Angular Elements. I will quickly talk about that after this demo. And the second one is the WebAssembly, which uses TensorFlow JS file, which is processing your actions based on the signals that you are giving on the screen. So I would like to call 2 volunteers to come to the stage. I know it's a learning day, but let's have some fun. One from that side, one from this side. It would be good if you have gender-based equal, like one from men's side, one from women's side. Anyone volunteers? Otherwise, I will pinpoint and call you. I have 2 T-shirts, which you can take it away. Yeah, come. Please come forward. We have very short time, right? I know that you must be interested in. Yeah, come forward. You don't have to raise your hand. One from this side. Yeah, come forward. Unfortunately, we have many boys here, so we would have 2 boys. Yeah, give a round of applause for that. So this is the application. Probably you can explore at home as well. You have to use the finger. We are seeing 3. Okay, I called for 2, but okay. You can use the finger, and then you have to. How many of you have played this snake game? I know that 90s kids must be very familiar with this snake game, right? Using Nokia phones, we used to play when we are doing exams and things like that. So this game is very similar. This uses TensorFlow AI and Angular together. With Angular signals, you can see the movement using the index finger. So the instructions are, you can use the index finger to make the movements, and then based on the score that you make, one of you is going to be the winner, right? So let's start with, what's your name? Lakindu, okay. You can start. I know that, okay. You have to see the camera and then use the index finger to make the movement of the snake.
Oh, wow, nice.
Okay. So let me start the game, the first chance. Let's see how much he's scoring. Probably because of the light, the movements might be a bit deviating, but yeah. Uh, sorry to,
Yeah.
he scored 0, but I mean, it's because of the light maybe. Let's see if someone makes it better. Uh, I will stop it, reset it, and then start it again. All right. Yeah, it's funny, but you can understand, right? It's based on signals, and probably because of the camera light, it might be taking those inputs as wrong. If you can score 1, you are the winner, right? You just press down. Okay. Yeah, you got it, you got it. Okay, okay, I didn't start it, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, he's going to score 1, so obviously too. All right, thanks for the participation. I have 2 t-shirts. This is from the Angular community that we have in Sri Lanka. So probably for you, I can give some stickers, which I got from the like. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the event. All right. So I showed the capabilities of Angular, right? On what are the things you can do. If you're a beginner, you can imagine Angular as a web development technology, which you can use to build web single-page applications, mobile applications, as well as some of the enterprise applications. So when you think about the features that it offers, you start with HTTP client, which is used to make requests from your web application to any of the backend, and then you can use routing to route those URLs based on the user request. Say if you have a website, say you can take Facebook, for example. Based on the friends requests or photos, the URL gets changed, right? So with the single-page applications, based on the router that you configure on the Angular, you can make those users, visit those web pages. And it provides many features. I will not have time to talk about all of these features, including animation. You can build enterprise forms using forms feature, and then server-side rendering, which is one of the feature which has been improved with Angular v16, which is called hydration, which lets you to do the server-side rendering and then process it on the browser without any flickering. That is one of the improvement v16 have introduced. And then it provides a lot of other features, dependency injection, which is common in any programming language, and then data binding and things like that. With that, this is as a framework, right? But if you see, like, Angular also provides ecosystem to build your application. So starting with, okay, again, have some issues. Let me use. Yeah, if you think Angular as a platform, it provides, it acts as a framework, and then you can do localization as well as globalization using different technologies to cater your local audience. And then PWA is one of the technology that you can use to build progressive web apps, which can work without internet, right? And then we also, Angular team also provide the Angular CLI, which lets the developers to scaffold the applications quickly. CLI is one of the fundamental tools that any programming language should have. So Angular provides that. And then schematics, if you're working in a large projects, and if you don't want to reuse or rebuild the same functionality, you can reuse the same code using schematics. And then we have Angular Elements. Angular Material is one of the famous UI framework toolkit, which you can use to build your front-end application. So Angular, not only a framework, but you can also use as a platform to build or scale your applications. Moving on, Angular as ecosystem. This is one of the key points when you compare with other frameworks like React or Vue. Angular is very popular among the community because of the community, right? Like developers like you. You can see that there are more than 900 Google projects which are built on Angular as per the day. You can go and explore in the website madewithangular.com, and then there are 115 GDs like me across the world who are helping Angular to evangelize Angular, as well as help with the companies to build more enterprise projects using Angular. And then there are 40+ member team in the Google who is working on daily basis to improve the features of Angular. You can see the Angular contributors. If you want to get featured, talk to me. We can make you as a GDE if you are really interested. I will talk about that later. So this is the power of Angular. You can see NG Sri Lanka, which is one of the conference that we had in 2019. Unfortunately, due to the COVID and everything, we are not able to continue, but sooner we will restart that. And then this was at Google I/O 2019 with the Angular team. With that, let me talk about the state of Angular, right? This is a cool analogy that I have. This is a famous person who is working as organizer in the GDE, Chamod. You can, I mean, if you are familiar with Angular, right, you will use this command ngnew, which is used to create or scaffold the application. But within 6 months, Angular gets old because of the latest changes, the features that are coming in. So every stable version gets released 6 months from the Angular team. So far, there have been version 16 have been announced, starting from V2, which has so many features which I don't have time to talk about. The V16 is called as the powerful feature release in terms of performance and also in terms of impactful release that Angular team have made, because of the fact that the new features that I'm going to talk about. With that, let me move to the next slide. So these are the new features that have been announced at Google I/O this year. Some of these features are in developer preview. I would highly encourage you to go and try these features, starting from non-destructive hydration, which is used to, I will talk about this, and then Angular signals. I will dive into that in the next slide, and then improve tooling. When we talk about non-destructive hydration, if you have seen applications, where you have to do the server-side rendering, like some of the machine learning applications where you have to render the data from the backend and then show it on the front end, right? This has been difficult in the past when you are using Angular. Like when you brought it on the front end, you would see some flickers happening on the screen. So this has been completely enabled with the destructive hydration, which has been announced. So you will see optimized JavaScript performance in terms of building web applications. Angular signals is one of the cool feature. So far with V15, there is a framework called zone.js, which has been used to communicate the data between two components or within your Angular application. So that has been completely rewritten using the signals, so which makes the developers to effectively communicate between the components and also maintain the state of the application using reactive mode. And finally, I will talk about the improved tooling. When you talk about improved tooling, I talked about CLI, right? In the same event last year, I talked about, DevFest last year in December, I talked about standalone components, right? With the new version, you can create standalone component using the CLI with the ngnew standalone command, so that it will actually create a standalone Angular application and a component. And then with the recent announcement, they have improved the ES build, which is basically to bundle your application, which ES build, I don't know how many of you are familiar with ES build, which does the building process quickly and also improves the performance. So these are some of the cool features that I want to highlight, but there are many more features that have been announced at Google I/O. You can go ahead and explore them after this talk. I want to dive into Angular signals because that is one of the trending thing among the web developers, and I would highly encourage you to go and learn about Angular signals. There is another analogy that I'm using here. This person is also from the GDG, Suresh. So you can see the Sri Lankan payslip in 2022. When you don't have tax, we used to pay only 12%, I guess. We were happy, right? But if you see the same thing in 2023, we have to react. I don't know whom to react to, whether it's the government or whether it's the policy that has been changed, but it's the expression or the reaction that we have as a developer to express, right? So you can take this analogy as example to basically understand Angular signals. It's based on the action that you perform on the application. There should be some things that need to happen, or the application needs to get notified, right? So for example, this is just a real example, not the sample that showed earlier. You can see a carting application where you need to change the quantity, right? So this has been done using something called Zone.js before Angular V16, but this has been completely rewritten using Angular signals, which is a new way to for the developers to tell our code, say that this particular model have changed so that it has to reflect across the application, right? Which is similar to two-way data binding that you can call. and which makes the code more reactive, so that you don't have to care about writing so much code to make those changes happen. And one of the fundamental feature or lagging feature in Angular is the change detection. So there have been, I don't know how many of you have used Angular and you have seen error message called change detector failed error message, which is one of the common error message, right? That is because when you render so many components, and if there's a conflict between those components, you get that error. So that is completely removed with the version 16. So that is one of the advantages that you get with Angular 16. If you are wondering about how to implement signals, this is a simple example. You can take, again, a simple box as an example, right? And then which has a variable, some variable x. And then if you want to light up that box, then you can use signal. Say the value got changed. If it changes to 6, then it will automatically inform the component to reflect that value on your application. If you're asking whether this can be used in all the features of Angular, I don't know how many of you know about these features, but these are fundamentals of Angular, right? Component, directive, service, templates, pipes. So you can use it in all those features in Angular using the Angular signal, so that you don't have to write code to make those changes manually. What are the benefits? I already covered some of this. It's more granular updates, so that you don't have to worry about, like, since we announce every version 6 months, there has been a pain in terms of upgrading Angular to the latest versions, right? So that pain is completely removed. Code changes are very less, and then you don't have to subscribe, unsubscribe whenever you are making requests to the backend, and then less memory leaks. And if you're using RxJS to bind those variables, you can ignore that, and it's not a breaking change, so you don't have to worry about it. It's optional. Like if you want to continue with change detection, you can continue it, but if you want to improve with Angular signals, you can do that as well. With that, I will talk about, we have 12 more minutes, I will talk about unlock WebAssembly. So I talked about Angular, right? The second topic that we are going to cover is the WebAssembly. How many of you build games? I don't see any hands. Okay, there are a few hands. Okay, how many of you are interested in artificial intelligence or building mission critical GPU applications? Like, okay, I see many hands, right? So WebAssembly is one of the new way of technology to run any type of code in browser. So this has been a painful experience for a developer like me. I wanted to tell my story. So this particular developer, a happy developer, when I used to write desktop and web apps back in 2010, I used to know only JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. These are the 3 technologies that I know of. So I used to build applications like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but the same code, can be written within 3 seconds, where Eric showed a demo, right? How to interact with the weather API to plot something on the UI. So see, the things have progressed a lot from back then. And if you see, then mobile applications came into existence. Then I was worried about how to, use the same code to build mobile applications, which is very painful. And recently we have seen so many devices coming in, and then we have to build so many applications which are heavy performant. So as a developer, it's our duty to embrace these technologies. So this is where the WebAssembly come into play if you are a JavaScript developer. I don't know how many of you know about JavaScript usage, but you can see like 1.8 million JavaScript web applications which have been used by users on a daily basis. And if you ask me questions, if you ask anyone from the audience today, how much time would you spend in a particular page at a given moment, right? Maximum users will spend only 7 seconds, and if the page doesn't load within 7 seconds, the users tend to have the tendency to move away to another site. So that's how things have changed, things have improved. So in order to build performant applications, you have to be careful about, do not rewrite. So one of the mistakes that we do in our development is rewriting the code. If the code works, we are happy. That is not the process, right? We have to make sure that to reuse the code so that it improves a lot of things, like including the resources. So that is one of the fundamental concepts that WebAssembly provide. Say if you are building applications, I don't know how many of you have used online Photoshop. during back those days, we have this Photoshop 6 when I used to be a student, but right now you can do it on the browser itself, right? And then we have Figma, we have AutoCAD, we have so many, and TensorFlow.js, which is a WebAssembly programmed method so that you can run these technologies on the browser. User don't have to use those desktop applications. So this is the power of WebAssembly that provides for developers, right? You can go ahead and watch what are the tools which are built with WebAssembly. This is a particular website which displays all the applications which are built with WebAssembly. And again, JavaScript is like a sea, right? Every day we have celebrating 25 years of JavaScript, but if you see the number of frameworks, it's infinite, right, that have come into existence. So we need to embrace these changes and make sure that we can leverage the existing technologies like Rust, Golang, or whatever the famous, Java or .NET. These can be run on a browser, right? That is one of the fundamental things that WebAssembly provides. So a developer can write their code in any language. You don't have to use JavaScript. So you can write in any familiar language, and then this is a new type of, I would say, code, the WebAssembly, which is a tool chain that compiles the code in a binary format. I know, like, all of you know about binary format, so that the same code can be used in the browser to build your applications. You can see that, the module is created, and that can be used, imported in your web application, and then you can use it. That's the same demo that I showed earlier. Whoever participated, that's what we have seen, right? It uses Angular signals to detect the changes, and then it uses the TensorFlow.js behind the scenes to, plot those snake movements. With that, why is it cool? If you ask me these questions, I already explained it's a new type of code that can be run in the browser using JavaScript, and then it's portable so that you don't have to worry about the performance, and it's native, and it also it can be also used outside the browser in a portable and secured way. So this is going to be a trend in the web development technologies in the coming months. So make sure to embrace these technologies and build. Before I wind up, I saw a question in the previous session. You asked about how to become a GDE. I know that most of you are interested to become a GDE. Let me tell my story. This is not technical, right? I wanted to cover, because most of the, I know that Sri Lankan developers are very enthusiastic, and we have a lot of developers from our country who want to shine and show the world that we are capable. So this can be inspirational to a few of you. Maybe I would be happy if you take, if at least one of you take this message and then try to become a GD. So I started with Angular as a normal developer back in 2010, which was AngularJS. And then I used to write web applications. Then I wanted to pursue this technology as my passion. So last 12 years I have been writing code on Angular, even though I don't work on Angular, but that is one of the consistent things that you need to do in terms of making that awareness in you, right? And then start answering on forums, do sessions, and then do like live demos, interact with Googlers to give that feedback. That is one of the key things. And then I became a Google developer expert back in 2018, and I got many opportunities to travel and present at different conferences. So these are opportunities that you get when you network, when you learn, when you share. So make sure these three, I think one of the key video that we showed, that we saw in the beginning, it showed those three messages, right? Make sure you follow this message. You can become a GD, and then you can embrace this technology to build latest applications using whatever the things that we are learning today. With that, let me end this session. If you have any questions, I can take them up. I know we have 5 minutes, but I can take any questions. Please feel free to stand up and ask questions. I know that when we ask in Slido, we get a lot of questions, including some comments. You can stand up and ask questions now. We have, 5 minutes. Anyone? If I say I will give a swag, you will ask questions, right? Guys, feel free to ask questions. So this is an opportunity to learn. You can, interact. If you are shy, I'm always here, after this event. So feel free to come and talk to me. I hope you don't have any questions. Yeah. That's nice. So the question is, which is the best framework, whether it's Angular or React? As I said, there have been plenty of frameworks, right, since the evolution of JavaScript. But in the recent days, you can see React, which is being widely adopted among developers because of the fact that, when you put rules on particular technology, it becomes complex for developers to build applications, right? One of the things that Angular structures is that provide the guidance to write your code in a better format because it uses TypeScript. TypeScript, if you're familiar with WOP concept, you have to write certain things in a certain format, right? If you are a React developer, you don't have to worry about you can write things on your own. So there are pros and cons in terms of both technologies, but in terms of adoption, I think you can go to stateofjssurvey.com and see how many React developers are using. The Angular percentage is around, I think, 43 as per last year, but it seems growing with the version V16 because of the improvements that we have, that the team have done. So if I ask, to answer your question, there is no, better framework. It depends on the same answer that a typical architect would give. It depends. It depends on the usage. It depends on what you want to pursue. It depends on the skill set that you have. So I hope that answers the question. Good that you are an Angular developer. Keep it up. Yeah. Any other question? All right. We have 3 more minutes. Any questions? Yeah, I see a hand. Okay. All right. Okay, where to go from here? You can explore the topics that I talked about, starting with Angular signals, which is one of the interesting blog posts by Angular engineering lead, Sarah. And then you can talk about reactivity with Angular, which is basically by Deborah, who is a plural site author, and also GD. And then you can see WebAssembly, what are the capabilities that it provides. So these are the things, and thanks a lot for being a wonderful audience, and thanks to those volunteers who came up and did the demo. With that, you can always reach out to me, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sajitaran. To give away the token of appreciation, I would like to request Sumedha Disanayaka, GD Sri Lanka organizer.